Fidget time. There's a great shot. Both number 1 and 2, Emig and McGrath. These guys will reach down and check their gas probably about 150 times before the skate drops. It's just one of the things you got to do.
5 seconds before it could go any moment now. Let's see who gets the whole shot. Daytona is underway. And look at that, Jeff Emig once again, just like he did in his heat race. Ezra Lusk, number 3, right behind him in second place. Oh, good start. Here goes Michael Craig. Craig loves the sand at times, even though he's done well in hardpack. He won at Tampa in '94.
This is really good news for Jeff Emig, because he's gotten off to a great start again. That's good enough, but then he's got Mike Craig. I don't know if Mike Craig is going to go right after Emig right away, but what will be tough for everyone to do is pass Mike Craig. That's a big plus for Jeff right now.
And it is Henry. Henry moving into 4th place now. So it is Jeff Emig, Michael Craig, Lusk battling it out with Henry. Henry goes to the inside of Lusk and takes over 3rd.
Henry wants it. There he goes. Right past Craig. Craig a little bobble there. Loses another spot, maybe to Jeremy. And Henry, I saw him out there last night in the dark, walking this track. I already pointed that out, but that just displayed to me the hunger, the need. He wants to get himself back on track. He needs to do it here at Daytona and give Yamaha the biggest win they can have this year.
Michael Craig right behind Henry. Craig goes to the inside. Henry to the outside. Jeremy McGrath is behind Craig, number 2. And there's Ezra Lusk behind him, number 3. So we've got a good, exciting start here for 20 laps now at the Daytona Supercross.
Well, what you have is what we had in Heat 3. You got Emig leading it. McGrath and Henry back there behind him. This time you got Lusk joining the party, and Albie, who rode good in his heat race, had some problems, but he was fast. He's up in there challenging Craig now.
McGrath behind Henry, Lusk behind him, and Craig drops back. Greg Albertyn also starting to make a move now on Michael Craig. Team Suzuki's number 7. Jimmy Button's behind him. Larry Ward behind Button. And then Mike LaRocco as we go deep into the field.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Craig. You know, he had the injury, came right back and didn't even miss a beat. Right back in there with good starts, challenging. I watched him in practice. He got right behind Jeremy. Everyone looked about the same in practice in terms of speed, but he got right back in there with Jeremy and just copied everything he did. He learned. He's putting that to use right now. You can bet on it.
Craig and Albie going at it. You see Wyndham, number 8, going into the picture there.
Button making a move. Getting by Craig on the triple into the next triple. Now he's got his sights set on Lusk, so Button's going to the front.
Jimmy Button with 3 podiums this year. He's led 14 laps on the season.
What Emig can just keep his fingers crossed for, and you know Jeremy Albrecht, his mechanic signal right now, is hoping that this battle right here between Henry and Jeremy McGrath, Henry clipping a hay bale, these guys are on the edge. He's hoping this battle right here, these guys can start thinking about themselves, kind of blocking each other, and they lose time to Emig.
1:22.2.
That's not even as fast as Carmichael. Button's gone down in the whoops just before that corner there.
Jeremy McGrath in second place in front of Henry. There's Button. As David mentioned, Button going down.
Yep, that's a tricky section. It's just a bunch of jumps heading into a corner. Doesn't look like anything special, but the timing there is critical, and he just found out.
Our leader is Jeff Emig, number 1, but can he hold off the force of Jeremy McGrath and Doug Henry?
It's sports.
Art Ekman along with David Bailey and Marty Reed. The main event for the 250s at Daytona. It's Emig, McGrath, Henry, Lusk, and Albertyn, our top 5.
And then the pace is furious right now. These guys, they're jumping a 70-foot triple on the front straightaway, and they're like, the hell with landing on the downside of this thing. I'm going to jump clear out past it. They're jumping 5 feet past it, just trying to maintain momentum.
LaRocco, number 5, and Larry Ward. 1:20.3.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. The pace had picked up, and the lap times show it. There you see Wyndham right there behind Ward, moving up, getting by Ryan Hughes.
Hughes, number 10.
He's moving up too, but didn't get the start he needed. He's so far behind the leaders right now.
LaRocco, he's got the natural talent, David, to be in the top 5 and not have a finish better than 4th this year.
Look at all these riders. You know, there's so much talent now that if you don't get a good start and you're not riding really good, that particular day, you don't move up. You know, you stay put, and you can't be disappointed with the way you're riding. You go back to the pit, sit in a chair, and go, you know, I'm happy with the way I rode, but there's 8 guys ahead of me that are all that good.
Throttle problem for Button, trying to unbend what was bent in that crash.
Well, what happens is they're going to have to change it, because what he did is he broke the housing in the throttle. It looks to me like it's bent on the end, so that it won't return. Oh, actually, he's loosening it, so he slid it out on the handlebar. It slid in, so it's like cruise control. If you let go of that throttle, it'd still stay wide open. He slid it out, so it'd return.
Look at this. Jeremy McGrath now picking up on Jeff Emig. We'll have a battle for the lead any minute now.
Well, he's definitely, he learned in that heat race. I thought Jeremy was maybe giving these other guys a little bit of light and a little bit of confidence on him by not going out there and just running away with the heat race. But he learned he's going to put it all to him when it counts the most.
1:22.4 for Jeff Emig now, as his time starting to sag a little bit after good finishes in the first 3 races. The bottom dropped out for Emig. Got the whole shot at Atlanta, ended up in 13th place. 4th place start at Seattle, ended up in 14th again. And then 3 times got a 14th place start. So it really, nothing adds up with this guy, Jeff Emig, this year. Jeremy McGrath trying to find a way around him for his 50th career Supercross victory. Jeff Emig trying to battle with pride and get his first win on the season. Our Suzuki leaderboard: Emig, McGrath, Henry in 3rd, Ezra Lusk in 4th, and Greg Albertyn, a very competent 5th place ride for Albertyn.
And that interview that Marty got with Jeff Stanton just before the race, McGrath almost off the track there. Nice save, but that interview with Jeff, he said, Ezra, stay in the top 5, watch those guys, learn a little bit, be there at the end. He's right there.
The points leader, Jeremy McGrath, who has a 46-point lead. Let's take a look on the replay.
Well, they're squaring this corner to get the angle on this triple. Jeremy jumps it, but he's angled too far to the left. Watch this save. Lands in that loose stuff. That's actually been a berm that's been pushed up. That could have been it right there. He can look back on that if he was able to get around and win this thing and go, boy, that could have spoiled the whole day. 5
laps into the race, Emig trying to hold on for dear life against Jeremy McGrath. McGrath just looking for the right opportunity, showing him a tire every chance he gets.
You know, it surprises me a little bit, and maybe the track's changed and I just can't see from here, but Emig was jumping that finish line plateau, the same as Carmichael was in the 125, and he stopped doing it now. He was making time there. No one else was doing it.
Is it a confidence factor? Jimmy Button down again as the yellow flag waves. They go streaming by him now, our leaders.
Yeah, he is just completely out of sync now. I mean, when you make a mistake like that, he was going to the front. He had worked up to the back of Lusk. He could see the leaders, and to see that all disappear in a moment really messes with you. He went back out after getting the throttle fixed, down again, so his concentration is just completely messed up for him.
So Jeremy McGrath, chaparral Yamaha teammate, having his 2nd tough race in a row. Jeremy Albrecht, 123 the sign. Be strong as he's out in front. Jeff Emig trying to hold off Jeremy McGrath. 122.5 is now the time. Henry in 3rd place, Lusk in 4th, and Albertyn still holding on to 5th.
It's kind of turned into a 2-way battle for 1st and for 3rd. Now Henry seems a little bit concerned. Maybe it just appears that way from this angle with Lusk back there behind him, as is Emig. Emig's starting to ride a little bit more McGrath's race, which is allowing McGrath to stay right there. And it's in the favor of McGrath, but one thing I really like about Emig, and he does this every time, we'll see if he does it here. If Jeremy can pass him, Emig always gets you right back. That just throws the guy out of sync.
The track holding up well. We expect ruts here at Daytona, but it's holding up very well.
This is a beautiful section through the whoops. Normally you'd see ruts through there, but it's just perfect. You can go pretty much anywhere you want. Let the back end just dance around under power. If you let off through there, that's when you got problems.
Okay, as McGrath tries to find a way around Emig. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Guys, one of the things I've noticed down here is the way Emig is riding. He's a little bit more forward on the bike, the way he's attacking, leading into the jumps, trying to keep that bike as low as he can. The last few races when he was in this slump, he was sort of sitting up on the bike, catching an awful lot of air. Keep an eye on, see if you agree with me, but from down here, that's the way it looks.
Here comes Jeremy McGrath. Emig trying to hold on. McGrath's got the inside, but yes, Emig, separate line. McGrath They touch rubber. Jeremy is in the lead here at Daytona. He's looking for his second lead. He's looking for his second win here in Daytona. So it's McGrath, Emig, and now Ezra Lusk has moved into third, getting around Henry about the same time that McGrath made his move on Emig.
Yeah, that was the double roar of the crowd. Both passes taking place at the same time. And Marty, that was a great observation of Emig's riding style. And I have noticed that. And you'll notice when the riders are on the starting line waiting for that gate to fall, that first 20 or 30 yards, you look at their position. You're in a hurry on the starting line, and that position demonstrates that. You're leaning forward. And if you can do that out there on the racetrack, too, that just shows that you're charging hard and aggressive.
Okay, Lusk is putting some time already on Henry. So it's McGrath, Emig, Lusk, and Henry spaced out pretty well. And Albertyn almost went down in 5th place.
Yeah, right at the end of the whoop section.
Save that.
That was scary. That'll get him thinking a little bit, but
because he's got LaRocco behind him. LaRocco has got a hay bale cover in his rear wheel. And it's LaRocco that's behind Greg Albertyn, number 7.
Albertyn, that same exact section where McGrath had his problem off the triple. The guys are going wide right there. They can't get the angle they had earlier. The track's getting rougher now. Off onto the pavement. Through the moguls right there, a little bit offline again.
And Albertyn hits the hay bale. Let's take another look, David Bailey.
Now this is the triple heading up into it. Sets up nice, gets into the berm, cuts out early. He gets a little wheelie, gets off balance. Doesn't hit the line he wants. Oh, that was even uglier than I thought. Yeah, he had both feet off. That was just whiplash. I don't know how he saved it.
Out in front, Jeremy McGrath. Can he win his second Daytona Supercross? We'll be right back. As we take a look at the Suzuki leaderboard, McGrath, Emig, Lusk, Henry, and Albertyn are top 5. Halfway point, 10 laps to go now.
Jeremy not able to get all the way over that plateau. That must be getting rough down there. And Emig actually still right in there. He's actually made a little bit of time on Lusk. Lusk made a mistake too, but that allowed him to stop worrying about him so much and think, you know what? Jeremy's still right there. Maybe I ought to make another run at him. 10 more laps, and they're only halfway here. This is when the race really begins. Look at that back end dancing around. Look at the beating these guys take. I mean, that's where Albertyn got out of shape. The one that we didn't replay, he got out of shape, and that was the section. The back end dances around. If you let off the gas right there, that's what the natural instinct is to do. When you get squirrely, let off, but that power actually keeps you tracking straight.
Keep looking ahead.
Yep, the mechanics are telling their riders, look ahead. Ride your own race. Look at the ruts coming out of there. Guys using Jeremy going through the middle, Emig going tight, Lusk going wide. So there's plenty of lines out there.
Ezra Lusk pulling up on Jeff Emig.
That mogul section's really working out good this year. Last year it turned a little bit of a one-line situation towards the end, but now it's still, you can get through there and make a mistake and end up way off to the side.
On the last lap, it was a 1:22.9 for Jeremy McGrath as we're taking a look at the second place battle, Emig and Ezra Lusk.
Well, these guys are, as we look at the Honda stopwatch, you can see the split. That isn't much. We're going to get a lap time.
About 3.5.
It's a pretty big gap from Henry on back. Henry's still staying in contact with these guys. You can see him, some of the long straightaways. That's another thing about Daytona. Some of these straightaways are so long, you can see the guy way up there, and it motivates you to go, you know, there's only a few laps left. Maybe I ought to just give it everything I got, see if I can still catch that guy. We're in a regular Supercross event where the track gets so confusing, going back and forth. It's hard to judge the distance behind.
Albertyn trying to put his another good race back-to-back with a 4th place finish at Tampa.
Craig going by, who'd gotten such a good start. It's actually dropped pretty far back now.
Lusk closing in on Jeff Emig now as they rub. Emig holding on. Emig could use all that track, and especially the guy out in front can take the line he wants. Ezra Lusk now dropping back, and Ezra getting squirrely, has to go off the track and re-enter.
I guess the rule is, too, when you get all out of shape like that and miss an obstacle, as long as you don't gain a position, as long as you re-enter safely, and I guess that's okay. That's what Lusk did right there.
Check out the lap time now for Jeremy McGrath, our leader here at Daytona.
Consistent, I can tell you that.
1:23.5.
Yeah, they're going.
He's picked it up a slight bit.
The only thing that'll cause that to ever fluctuate much more than a half a second will be lap traffic.
Ezra Lusk in third.
You can hear that throttle right there. It's so important. A lot of the amateurs make the mistake of driving wide open all the way into the face. Compresses the suspension so deep that all you do is go up. You don't go out. You heard Lusk right there let off just before the face, gas it on the takeoff, and that launches them out, gets the distance.
LaRocco in 6th place. He got 6th in Tampa, 5th in the race before that in Atlanta, 6th in the race before that at Indy, before a 4th place in San Diego. He's got that cover, or part of a cover, wrapped in the rear wheel, but evidently it hasn't affected the braking system.
We never know. You could disguise that pretty good. You can tell a lot of times these guys will tap the brake in the air off the jumps. He moved his foot back, so I know he didn't try it there, but you'll see that wheel stop in the air. A lot of the guys that try to change that angle.
Mike LaRocco a little bit frustrated that he hasn't been able to put it all together to get better than a 4th place finish this year. He has 2 4th place finishes. Mike LaRocco, though, starting to pick up the space on Albertyn. Albie, number 7 right there, is in the position right in front of LaRocco. He's in 5th.
You know, the other thing, too, Art, is these guys aren't that far behind Henry. They can certainly hear him. That's for sure.
The 4-stroke.
They can look up the track not too far and see him. They know that's still within their grasp. Podium spot, well, that's quite a bit farther down the straightaway, but anything can happen. Stay in it.
LaRocco's best ever finish here at Daytona was back in '95 when he took a 2nd. He went to 3rd in '94 and a 4th in '93. He had a 5th place last year. Number 5, Mike LaRocco on the factory connection Honda, trying to catch up with Albertyn. Of course, he had that crash at Gatorback in '96 and came in here with an injured knee and rode with to a 9th place finish. Back on Jeremy McGrath.
Working his way into the mogul section. He's been getting through that same line, consistent every lap. That's where he was making his time on Emig for the long straightaway past the mechanics. Albertyn over that triple clean this time. You can hear Henry just going by, so he's picking up time now.
A 4.6 difference. We got notification from down below. Here's LaRocco. He's got less than that in the difference to Albertyn.
Well, that's a fast straightaway. You don't get to do that in a dome. Yeah, you don't have the potential of rain in a dome, but you don't get to get out into 4th gear and let that bike go. The Suzuki's got more horsepower and they're showing it.
So both Albertyn and LaRocco are catching up to Doug Henry in 4th place.
Henry all the way over that finish line jump. You can see he has to go wide, though.
Henry, this was only his 2nd race coming back after that broken back injury.
You can hear LaRocco right there winding that throttle. He knew he was going to be coming up a little bit short on that triple. We used to call that the panic rev. In fact, that was one of my favorite things to do in practice. We'd be standing around with some of our teammates, and you'd hear somebody do that in the air, and he'd make this scary face like it was happening right behind him, and boy, would they duck.
Henry in '96, coming back from that back injury. '97, he took a 10th place after starting 2nd. He was riding then with a hurt hand and put a little pressure on Emig at the very start, but then faded back.
So McGrath's lap times now out front are starting to slow down just a little bit, down to 124.
Here comes Albertyn, makes the hippity-hop pass on Doug Henry.
Great move.
Boy, a strong race from Albertyn so far.
Yep, he's looking good. Really impressed me last week. Looked super in his heat, and I know he's a good mud rider, but whatever he did in the last couple of weeks, he needs to keep doing it. He's back in form.
Albertyn moving into 4th place, matching so far his finish in the last race, Marty Reed.
Yeah, and I talked to him after the heat race, and he was really frustrated. He says, boy, this bike with the new motor's really running well. I know we can run up front. I know we can make a podium. All I got to do is get a good start and stay up on her. And he felt fine. He had a little bit of bumper bruise, but he did not get the great start. But here he is making one of those late race charges like we've seen him do the last few times out.
And he's only 5 seconds now away from Ezra Lusk. Lusk in 3rd behind Emig and McGrath.
Yeah, that 5 seconds, though, is going to be pretty tough to make up. There you see that dancing around through that rut of the whoops. Boy, this track, when I was a kid, Art, you know, you talked about me growing up here. I spent a few months here every year during the Florida series. I'd always be here to watch the race, and it's my favorite thing to go walk the track after the race. Look how rough it got. And right now, these guys are hitting so many holes out there. They'll be happy to see that white flag.
Albie, a second place here last year, one of 5 podiums. As we look at Jeremy McGrath.
Just steady, but you know what? That steady isn't quite good enough right now, because in that last lap, he lost quite a bit of time to Emig.
McGrath never really has looked at Daytona as one of the big important races, but it became important to him when it was one of the few races that he hadn't won, and Daytona being, of course, the first Supercross race ever, and it's great history.
I think he just got tired of, he'd won just about everything there ever was to win. It was like, what else do I have to prove? And of course, we added to that too a little bit.
Yes, we did,
and I think he got tired of listening to it, so he said, okay, I'll win that thing too.
So after his best of a second in '93, he got a 7th in '95, and then got the win in '96. That took us off his back.
Brian Hughes and John Dowd battling. Dowd getting the upper hand there, just through that whoop section. A little better line out of the corner. Got a better drive through there.
Coming through the lappers, John Dowd and Ryan Hughes.
That part that Stanton was talking about, when you get tired, this is where that starts to happen. Your back hurts.
Whoa, look at that cover. That's going to wrap around big time.
Yeah, so you can say goodbye to his rear brake for a couple laps now. And it's a Honda banner. Get that thing out of my Yamaha.
Whoa,
Ryan Hughes
squirrely.
all over the place. That strength saves that.
Hay bale cover was a big item in the 125s in a battle between Ferry and Pichon. Pichon was leading, had to come out of the race, and Ferry, that was his last win. Here's Wyndham and Pichon. Pichon number 16. Trying to move up a notch on Kevin Wyndham. That's the battle for 7th.
It's a tough time of day, too, to have the race, because in certain areas, I think maybe even coming through here, there's a glare. Really hard to see the line, and those moguls are hard enough, and then you're trying to see because of the sun setting over the big grandstand.
For the first time today, we actually have direct sunlight, as we've had the cloud overhang, and so now the shadows are really going to be apparent down there. 3 laps to go in our 20-lap main event for the 250s.
And back out front, I'm just noticing as these guys continue to battle, Ryan Hughes not done with Dowd yet.
What a tough year he's had as we take a look at Wyndham, Pichon, and LaRocco.
Emig is not that far behind McGrath. He's actually picked it up a little bit, and I know that as he comes through the mechanics area, his mechanic is putting signs on his board like, look, you're close enough, go get it. It's Daytona. Win it again. Anything he can do to motivate his rider, because it's not over.
Emig is pulled to within about 3 seconds of Jeremy McGrath. Our leader is McGrath.
Hughes and Dowd still going out on the front straightaway. There you get a chance. Still shadows. Hughes just, I don't know how he had room to jump that triple. Just about grazing elbows with that lapped rider there.
Lusk is riding a lonely 3rd right now behind Emig. And Albertyn is pulling away from Henry in 4th as we take a look at Hughes.
Hughes getting a nice timing out over the, didn't sound it with the throttle, but got a nice timing up and over that. It's kind of a whoop section all the way up the face of that jump before they get to the moguls. Jump the whole top.
Pichon making the pass on Wyndham. McGrath, Emig, and Lusk are top 3, with Albertyn in 4th.
Wyndham winning his heat race, looking strong, but start makes such a difference.
And now Team Yamaha's John Dowd starting to make a move on Wyndham. Wyndham slowing way off the pace, David.
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly what happened. I fail to believe he's that tired. It's got to be something other than that, but he's visibly, you can see that he's not pushing that hard anymore.
And Dowd makes an easy pass. So the white flag is out. McGrath and Emig have crossed the finish line jump. We're in our final lap of action. Daytona 1998 Supercross.
See these guys not tripling that. That's the difference. The guys out front still tripling it. And Jeremy already lapped Larry Ward, last week's winner. Larry Ward lapped up to Jeff Emig and Jeremy McGrath last week. In fact, McGrath and Emig were the last guys on the racetrack last week because of that.
The crowd is standing up, and they're not standing up really for Hughes. They're standing up for this guy right here, number 2, Jeremy McGrath. McGrath has been a living legend.
Yeah, he's just going to add one more page to that. This will be 50. That's a lot of wins.
A lot of wins, especially when he's won over 58% of his races.
Ryan Hughes would like to get one, you know, and think of what Ryan Hughes has done. He's put in some great rides, but 50 wins. That's just ridiculous.
And a commanding points lead, looking for his 5th Supercross title. Jeff Emig looking for a 2nd place finish, and it's pretty clear cut right now. Ezra Lasquez, the checkers fly here in Daytona for Jeremy McGrath, his 2nd victory in Daytona.
And Emig goes across that finish line as though he won. He's stoked. What a turnaround for him. Great ride for Jeff. I think he's going to go do a victory lap.
So his 5th win of the season, his 50th career Supercross wins. He is now only 7 wins away from doubling Rick Johnson's Supercross record as the 2nd winningest record behind McGrath. Can you believe that? 7 wins away from doubling Rick Johnson's record.
That's how good.